Hello everyone and welcome to Homestead for Living. In case you hadn't heard from another source, the headquarters of Azure Standard in Oregon just burnt down with the cause under investigation, which they just posted to their social media. In case you aren't in the know, Azure Standard is probably the largest retailer of organic and non-GMO foods, particularly in bulk and bulk grains, bulk foods that are primarily used by rural people, by homesteaders, large families, and those who are trying to eat non-GMO organic diets. To those of us who've been watching the intentional and rapidly increasing rate of destruction to the food supply, it comes as no surprise to see these kinds of things, though it did come as a shock to me personally because that's a resource that Gabby and I have relied heavily on. So to watch that very crucial food source for our family suddenly be attacked or accidentally burnt down, of course we'll never know the truth, but it's hard to see it as coincidental in this day and age. But anyway, all of that aside, it's a jarring shock, and it should be, for all of us, because we really need to be taking stock of what kinds of foods do we depend on, and then very quickly acting to replace them in our diet. As I've watched the price skyrocketing and everything, we've kind of shifted our tactics. We were just growing as much food as we could, just learning the ropes, spending the last few years getting good at gardening. But now we've sat down and really assessed our diet, and we're just trying to remove anything we're buying from the store. And it means changing our homesteading plans a little bit too. So, I'll give you an example of that. As I watched the price skyrocket on oils and the availability of oils, get a little bit more scarce, we decided we need to find a way to replace that. And that's hard. You need to have an oil press or be growing a crop in real large volumes. And oil is not just important for cooking and for your ability to cook, without stuff sticking, but it's also an important source of fat. So we needed to replace that. And oil wasn't really a great option without buying a bunch of stuff to be able to, make oil out of something like sunflower seeds or something like that. So of course butter would be a good alternative for a lot of people, but we don't have dairy. We're working to secure a dairy connection locally, but we just can't fit that on this property and really be able to feed a dairy cow or goat reliably. So for us, the next move was to ducks. Duck fat makes a lot of sense for us. We can raise ducks so they can forage, they can get a lot more of their diet from grasses and clovers, more than chickens even. They're a really good animal, a really good fit for us. And so we bring them in, but then also as we bring that into our homestead plan, now we need to account for how to feed them. And so of course we're planting out heavily for that. And looking at things that they're going to eat, and that applies to all of our animals. Things like clover. We're seeding clover very heavily. Nice protein, nice nitrogen fixture, of course. Comfrey, good old comfrey. Animals love that, and we're going to actually hopefully be selling rootstock from that pretty soon. And also structuring our gardens in such a way that they can live off the excess from the garden. So this is what we all need to be doing without fail. Every single one of us needs to be completely finding out what do we need to grow to replace everything that's commercially available that is a big part of our diet. That doesn't mean that every single bit of food is going to become unavailable. Probably not here in America. I think it's going to look more like gigantic price increases than anything else, and unavailability of specific items. But, I don't have a crystal ball, and none of us do. So we kind of do need to assume the worst right now with the food supply and just actively sprint towards self-sufficiency and get our production up and running as fast as we can, obtain the knowledge and the tools that we need as quickly as we can, and start stacking compost and inputs onto our land. Right now I'm getting every bit of organic matter I can get my hands on, whether that's sawdust, grass clippings, manure and hay that is safe from persistent herbicides. Anything that's basically not full of chemicals, that's organic, that came from the ground or from the rear end of an animal, I'm getting my hands on, and nothing is going to waste. As we were hatching our chicks, we had a couple of deaths, which is inevitable, and every one of those gets buried in a spot where those nutrients will be absorbed by edible plants. And every bit of the bedding that came out of that, and every project we have that generates any kind of waste that can go back into the land is going into the garden system, and it's turning into food for us. So y'all, now is the time. If you haven't planted food, go plant some food, and if you planted some food, go plant some more.